Are we on? We're on? Hi, it's Nicole and Trish from My Christmas, and we're going to show you how to make simple Halloween wreaths today. The same techniques can be used for Christmas, but we're just doing Halloween colours. We've got a couple of Halloween kits on the website. Okay, so we're going to start. Trish is going to do most of the work, and I'm just going to show you some of the different products that go with it. We're going to start with the sort of traditional where Deco Mesh started with sort of these fluffy, poofy, the technical term for it, mesh wreaths, and these wreaths, the technique we use can also be used in garlands, all right? Because I happen to have customers here who are interested in garlands. So you know, you use exactly the same techniques and you have this little frame, and where in here we have a wreath frame that we're tying the mesh on, the garland you're just tying it on there. So you will be doing exactly the same thing. Looks like I'm running the class. Hello, Trish is back. I'm back. Good. So I'll hand over to Trish to show you how to make this.
Okay, so this is, as Nicole aptly calls it, our foofy or traditional type mesh wreath. The same technique is used for our garlands, which you can see above us, and you can do them for Halloween as well, just to decorate your house. And they are on a base. Did you have the base?
Yeah, I've shown it.
Show the base? Okay,
yep.
So on the long base. So exactly the same thing. So this one I have started so that we don't have a lot of extra work. Come in, TJ. So the way that you start is you attach it through the tinsel ties. These tinsel ties are wired. So all you need to do is just attach it through and then work your way around. You can then use half a pipe cleaner just to hold your ends in so that they don't fray and get in the way.
And if you're doing a garland, I just turn the ends over. So rather than them hanging out, because they do fray, this fabric frays. So at the beginning, where you've got an end like that, you basically make a loop back and tie it underneath. It's the same thing, and it is on those videos too on the YouTube channel. So,
and then, sorry, I'm in the way. Just cut off your daggy bits.
So many technical words we
I
use.
know, I have
Puffy, daggy bits.
Daggy bits, scrunching. So I have worked all the way around the base of this. Where people find that they have a little bit of consternation about the wreath is moving from the bottom to the top, or the top to the bottom of your base. So I just thought I would show you. So here comes some more technical terms, everybody. You measure out a pipe cleaner length.
And it's the same for the garland. Okay, so if you just use a pipe cleaner.
Pull it a bit tight, and then put it between the two tinsel ties and twist them over, and that holds it in place.
And do it tight. The key is don't do those tinsel ties loose, because then everything just loses its shape.
If you're
another
worried,
technical word, the floppy. So, but if you keep it tight, everything will just stay in place. Because it's got so much body, it just goes where you want it. Yeah,
it's 21 inches. If you're worried that it's not tight enough, all I do is just squeeze on it, and that then pulls the wire into place. So then, to move from the bottom to the top, all I do is grab a bit of the mesh, twist,
and sneak it up.
And then sneak it up, so that you haven't got all that boof coming up between the two layers.
Another technical word.
We need to have our own Wikipedia page of Christmas terms.
You know, if you Pinterest this, someone's got the right word.
We have the right words. Okay, and then just attach it in again by twisting your tinsel tie. And then you just work around the top. So again, pulling out, I don't need to measure it because I do these thousands of times. I actually have it right.
When you do it your first time,
it's a length of, so 12
really
inches.
Easy.
A length of a wooden ruler I use at home.
30 centimetres. We use centimetres.
Everything
we get is American, so of course it's all in inches. So we're kind of converting between the two constantly.
So all you do then is just wrap around the top, pushing it, shoving it, another term, in between your ties. Tie them a couple of times. They are wired, so they're not going to lose much of their shape or lose their hold on the mesh.
So while Trish continues with that, let me just tell you then with the garland, because we've got customers here interested in the garland. So as Trish is doing it, we would normally run two meshes onto a garland. So I would do exactly like Trish is doing on one side, and then attach it, and then run the same mesh onto the other side if you want to mix two colours together. Okay, so that's the only
Tied
thing
into
you're
that
doing.
same
Exactly. And once you tied it in once, you find even when you untie it, it sort of sits in place. So you can untie it, put your second layer of mesh in, but you're just going out one side, then the other, zigzagging
So this
backwards and
colour's
forwards.
Yeah.
Pretty wide, everything, so it makes it really easy. I told you you could be a craft queen at the end of this.
I said no, but
Yeah.
actually, yes.
It is so easy. What was the prize I got for that?
I don't know, but I feel like my house is getting me going, even though it's not going to fit.
And while Trish works on that, I just want to show you, so for Halloween, there's a couple of different colour options. So Trish is using this mixed mesh, which is $29.95 for a roll. Okay, yeah, and then the frames are $12, I think, $12.95.
$11.95.
We don't make these.
Yeah, so then you could start with just that, and that would be enough, and people would know you're happy to get trick-and-treaters coming to the door, right? But if you want to get fancy, Trish is going to show you, you can put balls, you can put other things on it as well. And so we've got a kit that's got a few other pieces in it as well. So plain black, the black and pink, so pink's great as well. And you can also pick up things like from Spotlight. I've made one where I just had the little lanterns hanging through it. I got for $2 at Spotlight. So that's also an option
Got
for you.
loads of them too now.
Yeah, all those. And
And I was
Trish
at,
picked up Lombards.
Yeah, I was at Lombard's yesterday.
So we're going to show
Which
you
is
how you
just
that can
reminded me,
go
I've
in.
got two in the cupboard that last year got somewhere at the end.
So,
of the week.
while Nicole's chatted on, I have finished the top part of the wreath. So I thought I'd just show you how to finish it off and end off your mesh. So I've measured out my pipe cleaner length. I then just pull out a bit longer and cut it. Oh, these are sharp ones. Okay, just end it off. You don't have a lot of the mesh left. Nicole will show you as she throws it away.
Oops.
You're not
So
going to be able
it
to do
uses
much with
almost a full roll
Yeah.
of the mesh, and the same with the garlands. You'll use nearly a complete for either end. You'll use nearly a complete
Or two rolls
roll
for the garland.
Yeah, so you use one roll on one side and one roll on the other, and without much left. So I've come to the end. I've got my last tinsel tie where I started off at the beginning, and then you just shove it back in. You can undo it or not.
If you're tight, you don't really need to undo it. It's when you're loose, it doesn't sit very well if you.
And then all I'm doing is shoving that end back through the base, so it's popping out here, and using the other half of the pipe cleaner that I cut earlier to just finish it off.
So you should grab pipe cleaners while you're here. If nothing else, if you're doing any sort of craft, that's what you need.
It's our go-to.
Use pipe cleaners on everything.
And you just end it off as you want. I usually give it a twist and then wrap it around again, and then just give it another little twist. And then just push your ends down so that they don't prick anyone. And then you can cut off the daggy bit again.
Any questions there, CJ? Is there anyone watching us? It's wonky.
Okay, so there's basically your wreath. Now you can fluff it out a little bit, or you can keep the what did you call it? Fluffy bits. You can fluff them out so you get them fuller, or you can keep them tight without fluffing them. I often find if you're putting things into them, it's easier to not fluff them out so much, or fluff them once you've got things in. So that's it. The next thing you can do, so the one that we showed online was this one here. Yes, please. Okay, so that we're just going to tart it up a little bit, put some orange rope in, maybe some baubles.
And that's part of the kit too, the rope and the
online
baubles.
kit. You could stop there and just shove him into the middle. I don't know if it's straight. So, and he lights up, so that could be just something you do with some rope or your baubles, or you could put him in with everything. So this is our rope that we use. It has a bit of its mind of its own, so it's quite fun to work with. All I do with it is, again, just put it between the tinsel ties. Now it will slip, so tie it off a little bit, and then, sorry TJ, I usually just tie it to the base. No, don't use pipe cleaners because they fall out of the pipe cleaners, but if you just do a knot, it tends to hold a knot quite well, and then it doesn't move through your wreath. And then you can just wrap it. It will sort of do its own thing. So you could just pop it in. Again, twisting lightly. It will move because it won't, even if you do it tight, it still doesn't hold it because it's so, this is very slippery.
But you can see how it loops itself, so you don't have to, you just sort of again zigzagging it loosely. Some people ask how many puffs, how many ties, there is no formula to this. It's sort of looking at it going just backwards and forwards. And always remember, any wreath you make, whether it's this sort or any other, you want to make sure you come out to the edge. Don't have everything sitting on the top, otherwise it tends to look very flat. So you see Trish is taking it around the side as well as across the top.
So it just gives that extra dimension. And you just work around. In the pack you get 3 lengths.
One length.
In the kit we're selling, you get 1 length.
'Cause that's all
if
you
you
need.
buy the packet, if you want to do a garland, you could put 2 lengths on. It will take a length. The garland will take 1 length as well. So yeah, just pull it as far or as close as you like. Some people like to go put more in, some less. Again, as Nicole said, it's really just what you think and how the mesh falls itself, the tubing falls. So you might find that you don't need as much because it's falling and you like the way that it's coming in.
Of course, all these are available in Christmas colours as well. So this is clearly just your Halloween example, but it's exactly the same principle for Christmas. Hi, how are you?
ladies. And
Come in.
Gentlemen.
Feel free to come in.
Okay, and then I just find it's easy just to stop again where you finish, just so that you get that look. Cut it off. So you've still got enough possibly to do another
So
wreath.
some people like to do quite thick. We just have a little bit.
And I'll tie that off later. So there you go, there's another dimension onto it. And then our final thing that we often do with our wreaths is we put sets of baubles on. So these are our 10 centimetre baubles. In the Halloween kit that's online, you'll get 9 baubles, 3 black, 3 orange and 3 purple.
So they normally come as packs of 12, but we've broken them up so that it's a bit easier.
Now, the weakest point of your bauble is where the cap meets the bauble. So you'll notice I've put hot glue around between the bauble and the cap, and that just gives it a little bit more stability and strength, and you won't find that your baubles pop off the caps when you're putting them into your piece. Then I loop them with pipe cleaner into a bunch of 3, and then to give it more stability, I give it a twist, so you can see how it's twisted, and then that means that the pressure when you're pulling it into your piece is taken by the pipe cleaner, not by the cap. So it just gives it a little bit more strength as well.
That's good.
Oh, that's why you pay me the big bucks.
I've learned something today.
Okay, so on your basic wreath you'll notice that there are these horizontal ones as well. There's 6 of those. So if you're putting baubles in, you do every second one, ending with 3 equally spaced bauble packs around your wreath. So we'll just pop them in. Doesn't matter where you start. I find it's easier to avoid where all of that, the daggy bits are, the start and the fin. So I would probably I'd come to this one first. Put it across, you're not going to be able to see this well.
Just put glue using on top of the. Is there a particular type so it's not going to be harsh and it's not going to
Just any hot glue gun.
The hot glue guns, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't do a bit of craft, it's worth buying a better quality one. You can get cheap ones at Spotlight, but we've bought a couple of good ones at Bunnings, the Bosch, thank you, brand. So if you're doing a bit, it's worth investing, but general use you won't need it.
So on that cross on your mesh, I put them either side, so I wrap it around, so then your baubles don't slide up and down. They won't slide a lot anyway, but it just means that they are in position on your piece. So then you just pull them in, give it a bit of a twist at the back. Sorry to flip it backwards and forwards. So all I'm doing is just giving it a twist. I would then probably cut that bit off, but you can just wrap it around and give it a wrap around anyway and then cut it off. So you don't need to have the whole thing. And then you can put in your next set.
This one she prepared earlier.
Yeah, I haven't prepared so that's it. So then, Nicole.
So that's it finished. So you can see how effective it is. Now that kit, oh gosh, I should have looked it up. I'm thinking it's $79 off the top of my head for everything you need to make that. But as we say, you can stop and just do the simple base, you know, and it would still look great for Halloween. All right, so you can go either way. All right, so
we want to show this.
yeah,
So then we have our little witch's breeches. And you can put these, so it looks like your witch is going through the middle of your wreath.
and you just bend your legs up
Okay.
and stuff.
So you can then, I'm not going to put this in properly,
No,
but,
and you just kind of play with the legs. So you want her to,
so she has a wire on her,
and
then you can,
push
yeah,
it
you can
right
have
in.
her,
Yeah.
you can have her kicking, you can have her,
That's the trick, stealing your wreath.
so that's, yeah, so that's one option. You can, if we take her out, and we'll do this on our next one as well. Just kicking and squeezing there. You can add ribbons in as well if you like. And these can just add another dimension. When you're putting them into this wreath, and the same with the next one we show you, you just pop them through the tinsel ties again. You would cut these. Thanks, Nicole. So to get your ribbon end, fold your ribbon in half and then cut on an angle back towards the wire, and that gives you that nice ribbon end.
Why don't you show this one?
Yeah, I will. Okay, so you'll see on the one that Nicole's just brought up, we actually use the ribbon quite a lot in this next one that we'll demonstrate.
And this is even easier to make.
Okay, so that's that one.
Ta-da! Any questions?
So, we'll move on to this one. So this is called our curly wreath. And you'll notice that there's a few around the shop in the Christmas, with the Christmas kits. We've got some with Father Christmas heads in the middle, or snowman heads in the middle. We've got some different kits with gingerbread men and snowmen, and new snowmen and elves. Now what I have done is I've gone through this, but I thought I would just show you the technique. So what we do is we use our cutting mat and cutter.
Oh, I've got rid of that. Good stuff. What do you drop?
We're a professional outfit.
Harry and Larry, I think.
Okay. So, to do this, we cut lengths of the 10-inch mesh. For this one, I put bunches of 4 in each of the cable ties, so use exactly the same base. And you can pick up a cutting system from Spotlight or any craft shop. You've got a cutty thing, that's my technical term. Just a glass protector so that you put your mesh between it. I've got to cut, Nicole can demonstrate that in a minute because I've got to cut a few extras. And then you cut 9 to 10 inch lengths, which is about 20 centimetres if I remember correctly, about 23 centimetres lengths of mesh. And they, you'll notice, curl by themselves just because they have been on a roll. So for this one, they're in my bag of tricks. So that's about, like I've done, that's about how much you get left. So we've got to cut, I think, 2 of each of those left. So it's come down from that to that. So I'll get on to the technical stuff. So they've rolled up. If at the beginning they're not so rolled up, all I do is just use my tummy, roll them up a little bit so that you get that twirl. But these ones are from the end. Just scrunch them again using your hands. I've got a few cut earlier. So 4, 2 of each, 2 orange, 2 black. And again, you're right, you're getting yourself sorted?
I am.
Turn your mesh the other way so it doesn't roll in.
Because no, I prefer to do it this way.
Okay, I won't tell you how to do your job.
This, when you go to cut it too, it really moves around a lot. Don't worry, you're not going to see if your line goes a little bit crooked. So all you're doing here, if you can show this, TJ, getting roughly to your 22 centimetre, lining up your cutting piece against the board, am I right? Yep.
Got to push it in.
Okay. Is it? Oh, I've got a different one.
Yeah.
It's so it doesn't cut your fingers.
Yeah.
That works better. Okay. And see how, again, when I pulled it, it's kind of, you end up with the middle. You just try and straighten it up a bit, but don't worry too much about it. And this is definitely not a oh God, I keep doing the same thing. Mine doesn't have this at home. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so if we come back to me, I've got my bunch of 4.
Far more important.
Yeah, I am. I've got my cable tie. I tend to put these along the side of the base, not this way. If you put them sideways along, I don't know, horizontal, across, so you're following the lines of your base. They then give you that wreath look. They're not all folding into the middle and looking just like a big puff. I don't know if that's politically correct anymore, is it? So there we go, and that's it, it's in. So I've got another set here. I'll wait for my apprentice to help me out here. Another 4, scrunched into the middle. I usually work around in sections, so I'll do a few on the top and then a few underneath so that you're working around. And then you can pop that into there and twist it around. Just so, again, just pulling it tight, twisting it so that it holds it in place. And there should be one more hole. Yep, here. So we've got the 3 here.
So we're using obviously the shorter mesh, 25 centimetre for that one.
Again, just grabbing through the middle. Doesn't matter how, you know, the 2 blacks are together or the 2, because once you put it on, you can see they all tend to just mingle anyway. Some of the Christmas ones, we do 4 of this mesh because it's slightly more see-through.
They're plainer meshes.
So some of the other mesh that we use, like the one that we did in the other wreath, has more metal thread through it, so it's a thicker, more dense looking mesh, and you can get away with doing 3 bunches of 12s in each, not 4. Okay, so if you look around the shop, some of them we've done 3 different colours into each tinsel tie, so you buy 3 rolls and do 1 curl of each into your base. So there, that's it, it's done. So then you get to play and decorate it. So again, we would use our ribbons. So I've cut some lengths earlier. So I've cut these to about 30 centimetres. 30 centimetres? Okay. Now, for the one that Nicole showed earlier, I did a couple of different things. One set, I did the thicker spiderweb ribbon with this zigzag one. What's that? Chevron. Chevron. And then folded them up and put them around the top. So we had more colour on the top with the 2 and cut those in. So I had them placed around, there's 8 tinsel ties on each layer. So every second one you get 4 evenly spaced again. And then I put separate ones around the back to give a bit more pop of the different colours. And then you can put in just this plain thin. So you could layer, you could play with your layers. You could have...
And that's what I tend to do. I tend to mix them up.
Yeah. So then you've got the 10, the smaller one on top of that one, and then you can put that in again. So you could possibly, I didn't with the one I did, but you could put these evenly around, and then you could have... So you'd have your different ones. Again, cutting it so you've got your ribbon ends, like on here. And then just pulling them out so you don't have a blob of ribbon.
Because they're all wide ribbon, you can curve them quite easily.
So you can push them around and move them out a bit, make a bit of a start. You can even sometimes, if you cut them a bit longer, you can weave them into the mesh and have them popping out elsewhere.
So a kit has 3 metres of each of the 3 Halloween colour ribbons, so that's plenty to make this. Plus a roll of each, again, enough for the base, and then a green base. So you've got everything you need.
So is there any questions, ladies and gentlemen? No questions online?
Nope.
Mine will look exactly the same, it's fine.
Do you know what, honestly, this system is so easy that it will.
You put me out of a job.
The first time you do it, it is easy. It's one of those things that you think, oh my God, there's no way I can make that. That's one of the easiest things you can ever make. I look forward to seeing a photo. Thank you. We'll turn off offline. Any questions online, we will come back. to them, so please type them in the comments and we'll come back and answer them for you. Thank you.